What's going on, everybody? It's your boy Pitts Sports Zone, Bowie TV, coming to you live. Listen, it's going down, all things HBCUs. And who else better to start it off with them Bowie State Bulldogs? We coming to you, Bowie State Bulldogs, total access. We got the Morgan State Bears. Listen, all HBCUs information, all HBCU news, sporting events, updates. You get it live here with Pitt Sports Zone, Bowie TV, Comcast Channel 77, Verizon Channel 11 is going down. Don't you miss a beat. Listen, it's only the beginning because it's early still. And it's we're gonna be here all day. All day. What's going on, everybody? You already know what it is. I'm your boy Pitt Sports Zone, Bowie TV. Coming to you live once again. I'm smiling, man, because listen, this is where me and Coach get to kick off our segments going forward for a week. Every single week, tap in. It won't be as late as today. We'll get all that information out to you, but it is going down. You got Pitts and Powell. No better combination than that. What's going on today, Coach?
I'm good, man. Thank you for having me. I like that. I like that Pitts and Powell thing. I like that.
You know, that's P square. That's P square, like Pitts and Powell. So, Coach, this is the start of a new venture for us, man. How you feel?
I'm excited, man. Always excited to get together with you, man. But really, always even more excited to get a chance to talk about softball a whole lot more. So that's always a good thing.
So, you know, golf. We just gonna rip the bandit off. So, Coach, is your phone charged?
Yeah, my phone's charged. I'm all good. I'm at like 55%. So on my Android, so I'm good. So I'm good. I'm locked in. All
right, Coach. We just gonna jump right into it, man. You know, man, it's been years, and you know, I don't want us to pivot and go too far back, but you know, if we can. Let's just give the viewers and listeners who may not be aware of, you know, when you started at Bowie State, and you can kind of just run that down for them for us real quick.
Okay. Man, it used to be a lot easier when I used to think about it. So this actually will be my 10th season. So that meant if this is my 10th season, so I started in 2016. And I started off literally just to be some assistance or some help to the coaches that were already on the staff. You know what I mean? And then from there, I was asked to be assistant. You know, and then from there, I was asked to, 4 years later, asked to be the head coach, to take over the program, and kind of reluctantly deciding to take over the program just because I wasn't too sure about my skills. I was completely confident of the player's skill, but I wasn't sure about my skills and, coaching college softball for the first time, so that was a little bit of trepidation. But from there, once I jumped in it, I was all in, no turning back.
So, Coach, I'm going to do a quick rundown, right, of Bowie State Softball over the last couple of years. A lot of people don't realize it, but I like to summarize it up like this. Bowie State has played in the CIAA championship for the last 3-4 years.
4, yeah.
4 years, right? And
yep.
We're talking about, the first year really could have been a win for Bowie State, who played against Claflin as well. Played against Claflin actually for the last 4 years straight in the CIAA championship.
Yeah.
So it's really kind of been the Bowie and Claflin show for the last 4 years when it comes to the CIAA championship. And there's no shade to the other organizations. That's just, just stating the factual that it literally has been Bowie State and Claflin the last 4 years. And when you just look at the makeup of the different players of your team, every year it was a different makeup. Talk about this year's makeup of the team because you only have one senior. Talk about the makeup of your team this year and what excites you about this roster.
Oh man. Each each individual team is like if you have multiple children, you know what I mean? They all are different. Even if you have twins, they still have their differences. This year's Bowie State team, man, is I'm excited. I'm always excited about, the players that we have, the players that we're returning, but I'm really excited about the group that we have. They've been through some wars, they've been through some tested times, and some of them didn't play as much as they wanted to. Some played a whole lot, and so this is going to be a really high expectation team. The expectation is going to be really high. And I think the other thing too is everybody that they play will kind of see that's their championship game because they're playing the champ. So we got to come out being ready to play. But I think the group that we have assembled right now that's going to take the field in less than 2 months. I think I'm excited about it. If we're talking about positions, I think our pitching group is going to be really strong. Our catching group is strong. Our outfielders are strong. We gotta replace, which we really didn't have to replace, but we move our second baseman and shortstop. We still have our third baseman. We got people fighting for first, fighting for first and second. So I'm excited about, you know, um, opportunities that I'm waiting to see who's going to take advantage of it.
Man, coach, when you talk about fighting for opportunities, I watched your team this year, play in a couple of games in the fall, against University of Maryland Eastern Shore, Maryland University, Morgan State. And for your team to only have, of course, the one senior, a couple juniors, but heavily, led by underclassmen, freshmen. You had some freshman players that came out looking like they were already part of the team last year, like they were already in rare form. When you talk about the incoming freshmen and just the leadership amongst your veteran group, let's talk about that mix because I've noticed you don't really have to do a lot of talking. Like your players kind of lead the way for the team as far as what the culture is and the things of that nature.
Yeah, well, when you say that, honestly, that was built like 4 or 5 years of building. And then what we're getting the chance to see is we're getting a chance to kind of see what tradition actually literally looks like. That was passed on that somebody else built and they left that the kind of blueprint, and then the next group kind of picked up that blueprint, and then the next group kind of picked up that blueprint. And then what you have honestly is the freshmen that are there now,
Mhm.
they're probably the most, as the freshmen that we've had, they're probably coming in saying, you know, if this is the way it's supposed to be done, because there's 3 championships prior to before I got here, then let me just follow. Let me just, if they say go right, let's go right. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And that's what I find out with this group. They're much more willing to say, all right, this is what it's supposed to be. Go, all right, that's what we're gonna do. And so they came in, they kind of jumped right in their roles and never have swayed. So I'm excited about the future when they get their chance to lead, to kind of see what that's going to look like.
When you talk about, you said your catchers and your pitcher, lineup is deeper. We're talking about last year, Lindsay and
I know.
like you had a lot of. So it doesn't surprise me because we talked off air at times, and I raved the fact that how how Draco came in,
Yeah.
in the championship game and the moment wasn't too big for her. She was rare form. And you said something that I like, right? You said that, you know, they're no longer freshmen.
Yeah,
You
yeah,
know, they're no longer freshmen.
yeah.
And you know the way that they play up to the moments was very it was inspiring. I'm sure a lot of young ladies coming behind and who are watching the program gets inspired as well, because it is consistently a winning tradition, and the standard is winning every single year regardless of, you know, how many freshmen you get in or how many seniors you have.
Yeah, man. I mean, you mentioned, I know I said, the pot, that the way the pitching group looks is going to be really strong, and not to. I mean, Lindsay is, Lindsay when she was
she's
here, she
she
did,
was a goat.
yeah, she did, and kind of that's kind of the way you want to do it. You want to play your best all 4 years. You don't look back, and Lindsey George really did that. You know what I mean? And players like that, players Lindsey, Jayla, they're not replaceable. You
Yeah,
you don't replace them. You basically somebody else plays a different role, somebody else steps up, but those are players are not replaceable. So we don't even try to replace them. We're just looking for somebody else to step in to fill that gap, how they feel it, and then
yeah.
we're gonna keep rolling with that.
When you look at your players, you know, like Presley and Coco and Taylor, you know, the players who've been here for a couple of years who actually have, you know, multiple rings, you know, how high, you know, what is your expectation from them, you know, year in, year out, because they've proven it, you know, how much more are you looking for them to pour into the younger group?
Oh man, they are, you know, they are the ones that set the standard. And we talk about the standard all the time. And the standard is the standard. The expectation that they have three years of the standard. And so they kind of the armor bearers of kind of how we operate.
Yeah,
Literally, those three know, and Karina, they know kind of how we got to where we got, how we maneuvered there. They took some tough losses, enjoyed some of the good wins, but it wasn't, they just didn't walk in and just all of a sudden win. They know all the work that it takes to get there. And so, and what they do is they just kind of pass that on by their effort, by their conversations, by their leadership. And I'm excited, man, to go on this ride for this upcoming season.
and you know, I'd be remiss if I didn't mention your coaching staff. If you can, you know, kind of talk about, you know, what they bring. I know there's some new faces this year, but if you can kind of talk about, you know, we know Sammy is a hitting guru.
Right.
You know, you could just
Right.
talk about the, you know, what they bring, the different qualities, not just from a coaching perspective, but the way they are able to relate with the women as well.
Oh man. Oh, I mean, we would not have, we wouldn't be the team that we are. We wouldn't be the program that we are without our assistants. I mean, and I've really been thinking about this, and so, they're the staff. They actually, some people have assistants. I don't have assistants. I have staff members, right? And when you think about a staff member, each staff member has their own individual uh, kind of professionalism, kind of their own individual thing. And so we have Coach Eliana Hindenburg that played here at Bowie for 4 years. Outstanding catcher. I
Hmm.
mean, studies the game, studies the catching position, and she's our catcher's coach. And she is, I mean, you couldn't find a better catcher's coach to be able to lead our catchers and be a part of the infield. Man, she does a great job. Her individual knowledge, even when she was playing, we kind of knew that she was going to be in the coaching realm because she was always coaching anyway. Whoever she was partnered with catching, they would create a coaching kind of relationship that they would coach each other. So we kind of knew that. And Coach L is great at the catcher's coach, and then like you mentioned, Coach Sammy. Coach Sammy is our hitting guru. I mean, most teams don't have a hitting coach. I
Yeah.
mean, some do. I'm talking about at our level. We don't. A lot of times you won't find at a D2 that you have a coach specifically for hitting. Some
Yeah.
do, some don't. But I don't think there's very few that have a hitting coach that's a specialist the way we have, the way we have it. So with Coach Sammy, and then we have a new Courtney. Coach White is our new pitching coach. Coach Morgan did a great job with our pitchers for 3 years. She stepped away to go do some, her own personal thing. And so when that happened, we already was in contact. We already kind of knew Courtney, and bringing Courtney White on literally has raised the level of our pitchers, raised the level of our team.
Yeah.
Matter of
Yeah.
fact, just and I don't want to forget, and that's Coach White, and I cannot forget because Coach Liera Livingstone has transitioned. So she transitioned. So of course everybody knows that she was the manager for all three of our championship teams. So she's transitioned her role into she's the outfield coach now. Right. So she's also hold down the other roles as doing some of the management stuff, but she's actually jumped into the role as being the outfield coach. And and she does a great job. The girls respect her, and she's always willing to learn and do whatever it takes for the team. So that's our team. I mean
Yeah.
that's our team.
I definitely wasn't going to leave my girl Lily out.
Yeah.
Definitely wasn't going to leave Lily out.
No, we can't
You
leave
know,
Lily out.
and I definitely it would be remiss to not mention, as you stated, Morgan and Carmen and the
Yeah.
contributions that they have played in it over the last couple of years in those championship runs.
Yeah, and I'm definitely and Coach Carmen is still around. I mean, she's always done and what I'll say of Coach Carmen is the stuff that nobody can see.
Mhm.
That, when we I mean, our uniforms all matching, sweatsuits, hats, shoes, all the stuff that nobody actually sees. That is Coach Carmen. You know what I mean? And so that is I mean that is equally as important as anything that happens on the field. The hotels, all the booking, make sure with the food. I mean, it is so much stuff that happens behind the scenes that that we just so happy to have a coach like that, just willing to make that kind of sacrifice without actually being seen, just getting the work done. So man, the staff is really strong this year. It's probably one of the strongest staffs that I've had. I mean, well, I can say that because I started off coaching by myself. So, so it is good to have that level of coaching, on a day-to-day basis.
Coach, you got a bullseye on your back. I mean, you've had a bullseye the last 3 years. You've had one. Well, technically, it could have been four, but already. But you had a bullseye. How do you maintain the same level of play year after year? With the interchangeable of players. What's your recipe?
It's honestly, it's just put your head down and go to work every day. I'm just, yeah, I got a big back because it's got a big target on it, but it's you know what I mean. I'm gonna try to get it a little smaller, but drop a couple pounds, make the target a little smaller. But I think honestly, it's you know, I try to respect every opponent, you
Yeah.
know, and the way we look at it is that we're not afraid of anybody. You know what I mean? So we're not afraid of anybody. Um, but we're gonna prepare like we're playing the best team every time. No matter who it is, because that stuff keeps me up at night. Even from whatever level team that we're playing.
Mhm.
That's why you play the game to figure out who can win or lose. So
Yeah.
at any game, we got to play. So that's kind of how I go into it every game, every practice. You know what I mean? And so the way I like to talk about it, the team that we have assembled now, we have 0 wins.
Yeah.
We have 0 wins. So and we're gonna keep that mentality all the way through. You know what I mean? We respect everybody. You know what I mean? But we're not scared of nobody.
Coach, talk about your incoming freshmen. As I alluded to earlier, watching some of them play in the fall against University of Maryland Eastern Shores, the Morgan States, and the Marylands, and just kind of pivoting and going back to their peak already appear to be in form. Just talk about what you've seen from them alone, just as they have integrated themselves into the system.
Um, let's see. I mean, I can truly say that the recruiting of this class was really strategic about who we bring in, what their roles are going to be, and really kind of going to work. I mean, I would honestly say this group just came in um, really ready to go. I mean, they didn't surprise me with how they showed up. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Because I know some of the games, like when I believe one of the rallies that they started, um, one of the rallies that I believe it was the UMES game this fall, that they were the ones that got the rally going and got the bats
The
going, and
bats going, yes.
yeah, they got the bats going, and it was a freshman after another freshman after
Yeah.
another freshman.
Yeah.
So I think that my coaching staff again, recruiting is really, really big. And I think recruiting the right players and the right families makes a huge difference in how we go, and how we operate and how they show up for the games and that kind of stuff. So, um, all the freshmen, I don't, all the freshmen, Samaya, Naya, Nala, Angelina, Soleil, they all come in ready, ready to go, ready to. I'm not gonna say take somebody's position, but what I am gonna say is they come, they came ready. I mean, we recruited
Right.
them because we felt like these are the players that's gonna help us um, get to where we're trying to go, and that's what I told each and every one of them when I recruited them. And one of the things that I said is that now looking at players,
Hmm.
when I look at them, like when I'm watching them play and watching them perform and that kind of stuff, I have to be able to see, can they compete in a regional contest, right? If I brought them on the team tomorrow, can I see them in a super regional game helping us win? Are they going to score the winning run? Are they going to make a good hit? Are they going to put a butt down? You know what I mean? Looking for all those skills, and that's what I saw in that group of freshmen. So the expectation is there, and I believe they're gonna rise to it.
Well, Coach, definitely looking forward to, before the season start, the Atlanta HBCU softball tournament. Looking forward to, watching the young ladies, battle against some of those SWAC, or MEAC schools down there. What are you most excitedly looking forward to in that occasion as well?
Oh man, going down to Atlanta early in the season, I think it's gonna be challenging, right? So, but I think, and I say that because we got invited. We got invited because we had been going to Spartanburg. We were going to Spartanburg and we were playing a really competitive D2 SIC CIAA, competition. Tuskegee and Edward Waters. So we have been playing some really tough competition. And so the HBCU Classic in Atlanta was all D1s. And so
Okay.
when they called us, she sent me an email or call to say, "Hey, would I be interested in participating?" To be honest with you, I jumped at the chance. I jumped at the chance because I think that the level and the team that we have assembled is ready to compete at a really high level on a consistent basis. And so, I'm looking forward to it. I think, and the schedule just came out, and I think we're playing three or four D1 teams.
Okay.
Yeah, we've already the schedule's out. We're gonna, just to kind of, let the cat out the bag a little bit. I think I know A&T is on that list. Um,
FAMU.
FAMU, yeah, FAMU's on that list, and I believe Alcorn
Right.
or Southern. I believe it's Alcorn State, and then we also play in Fort Valley, which is a D2, and then I think that we got one little rivalry game on that list that's going to be competitive and it's going to be interesting. So I'll say that for later. So
Absolutely. Absolutely. Sprinkle a little bit on
yeah, yeah, yeah.
it. And before we let them go, Coach, I just want to have a little fun with it at the end right here. Name that player. Who is the most comical player on your team?
Oh man, the most comical. Uh, most people don't wouldn't. Well, I mean, because she doesn't talk loud. She doesn't, she's not really boisterous. You would never think that she's funny, but Michaela Drakeford is by far the funniest. Like she's not joke funny, but you got to stand beside her and just listen to her comments. And she's really had quick wit. And so she's really funny. I mean, she gets serious, and I'm still laughing because I think most of the stuff she says is funny. But yeah, I would probably say. I mean, we have some clowns on the team that love to joke and laugh and play a lot. But I think Drakeford is one of the funniest people on the team.
Who's the most serious?
Ooh, man. Um, if you would have asked me last year who the most serious was, that would have been an easy one.
Who would have been last year?
Jayla Hill by far.
Oh yeah, Jayla doesn't.
Yeah,
Jayla
yeah, yeah,
is by far not saying too much, not about to
yeah,
get in
yeah.
between. Yeah.
No, yeah. I mean, really, really. I mean, just really great spirit, but stayed locked in.
Yeah.
All the time. This year, man, it's a real toss up. Who's the most serious on the team? And I'm rolling through. I'm going through my head. Oh, she's serious. She's and probably Lisa Free is probably the most serious person. If you just say just like pretty even. She has a little Jayla Hill tendencies. She doesn't laugh a whole lot. She takes the game serious. She shows up every day. With her work pail, like ready to go to work. So yeah, so definitely, I probably would say Lisa.
All right, and last one. Who is who? What player keeps you on your toes?
Uh, which day? All of them. Let's see. It depends on in which way. Like it keep me on my toes. Like always, kind of look. Okay, so the person that keeps me on my toes that literally keeps me like focused. Like, hey, we can't do that. Let's make sure we're doing this. Is Allen Robinson. She is always like ready. She always ready to do something. And we're not sure always. She always ready to do something. You know what I mean? She always is always focused on something. You know what I mean? If it's her teammates, if it's kind of what I said, she's making sure that what I say matches what is what is gonna happen. So yeah, so I would say Allen Robinson.
And before I let you go, Coach, I also want to definitely shout out the rest of your support staff in India and all the young ladies.
And Jada. India and
Jada,
Jada.
yeah,
Yes. Yes.
Definitely didn't want to leave them out because they are just as intricate and important as everyone else because they do a lot of other things behind the scenes that people
Absolutely.
don't know. So, man,
Th-
Coach,
Thank. Yeah.
this is the Pits and Power Show. This is a weekly thing. We get to really talk about the growth. The valleys, the hills, the
Mm-hmm.
bumps, the bruises, and it all. And I look forward to it. I'm looking forward to a hell of a softball year. I'm looking forward to Atlanta first, but more importantly, I'm looking forward to P Square.
Yeah, man. I like that. I like that. I really
Yeah.
do. That surprised me with that one, but that's good stuff.
Well, listen, man, y'all know what it is. It's your boy Pitts, it's Coach Powell, it's P and P. It's P Squares, Pitts and Powell. Every week we want to tune in. We'll get the information out, like I said earlier. What the showtime will be on more consistently basis and what day. And we
Mm-hmm.
won't hold you guys as long next time with the first one. It's always a little bit longer, but every show will range between 20 to 25 minutes. Anything that we keep it under so it can air on TV time as well. Because every show that me and Coach do will also air on Comcast channel 1097. So, Coach, looking forward to you next week, man. Everybody that tuned in, thank you. Tune in next week. We'll get that information out to you a little bit sooner. Enjoy the rest of your Monday night.
All right. Thank y'all. Good night.